the end of the day, I'm still a big believer. As you just get in, you saw last year, Igor didn't have the best regular season.
Hmm.
I don't want to say he, and by no means did he carry us to the Eastern Conference Final. But what I'm saying is, let's say 3 years, or maybe not 3 years. Well, actually, who knows? But 5 years into his contract, we might not have a good Rangers team. But with Igor, if you get in, anything can happen because of what he's capable of. So let's talk about Igor. Let's be positive for a second. Why not?
I like that spin, Steve, and I really like what you just said because I think for how downtrodden things are in New York, and trust me, I don't think it's looking up. Like you and I have talked about this for a while. I'm usually optimistic. That LA Kings game pushed me over the edge. Like that was a tough watch. But Igor signing this deal, I think it was interesting. I think it maybe was a move that New York was like, the management. It's funny, we talked about the front office. I think they were like, all right, we just traded our captain. We need something good because we're not playing well. We trade our captain. The big lingering thing was about the best goaltender in the world. And frankly, there's been conversation about his contract. I think a lot of the ball knowers, in the media are dead accurate, and you and I share the same opinion. Colorado had to go and get Darcy Kemper, and they haven't had a consistent goaltender since. Tampa Bay had Andrei Vasilevsky, the best goaltender at the time, and they won 2 cups. You look at those teams, Sergei Bobrovsky just won the Stanley Cup. His contract looked like an albatross. He wasn't in the league. They were playing Spencer Knight over him. He wins his Stanley Cup. All of that washes away like a beautiful summer tide. I think if you have Aiden Hill is one of those other outliers. That was a conversation of like running back pitcher where it's like, do you just go with the guy for 2 years and just, recycle goaltenders and go with cheap contract? Okay. But none of those teams had the best goaltender in the world. Vegas did not have the best goaltender in the world on their roster. So the Rangers have the best goaltender in the world on their roster. They're going to retain him. They're not going to move him to try to recycle keepers to see if that's going to work. He's the best of the best. And like you said, he's been there every step of the way. None of the season is on him. And I think this was also a great chess move to find something positive to bring. And it kind of, immediately dampened that fire. It's like, all right, he's in New York for the long run. So, listen, he takes up the same percentage of the cap as Lundqvist did, and I think hopefully whoever's managing this team for the next number of years, it'll likely be a few different groups, can look at that Lundqvist era and see what they did wrong, right?
Yeah, I love that. That I think that's the point of the episode right there. And again, this re-signing Shesterkin, I said this all season long. This had to get done. I think we all knew this was going to get done at the end of the day. It was just going to be more of a number thing, and I think we made it work. As a fan, I'm happy with it. I'm sure Igor right now will tell you he's happy with it. And my answer, if we did, we sat here live, right after uh, re-signing him, I would have told you this is great. We're removing that distraction for the remainder of the season, and put a cherry on top. We're moving right along to next business. But now that we've seen what this team has been doing these last couple of weeks, I mean, Igor is nowhere near the problem, but I mean, Shesterkin is the Rangers. He's the backbone of this team. He's the focal point of everything that this team does when it comes down to crunch time. And he's what matters the most. And the Rangers have always been since I remember. The Rangers have always been relying on their goaltending. And again, I hate saying that. The Rangers will go as far as their goaltender will take them, but we saw, especially even last year against Carolina in round two, we were kind of going stale, after Panarin's game 3 winner. Game 4 you lose, game 5 you lose. And then game six is not going your way. And Igor, time and time after again, came up and made a big save. Even when the defense left him out to dry, especially in the Eastern Conference Finals. How about that? I think it was game three, when Wenberg had the OT winner. I didn't think we were going to win that game, but Igor, I mean, there was a span of like 10 minutes where he stood on his net and showed you that's why he is a New York Ranger and he's the best goalie in the NHL. So again, this was something that had to get done. Keeping him was not just wishful thinking. It was a given the way this New York Rangers team is built, and they're obviously built around their goaltending. Right now, they're not built on defense, and that's a big issue that we could jump to in a second. But again, the way this team is structured, pre-blow up, after blow up, they're structured around goaltending. So again, Igor, that's the only thing we should be smiling about in the last month.
Yeah, I think it's funny because the roster conversation, like the roster build conversation and where you're putting it's a cap league, it's obviously I'm not going to invalidate those conversations, but it is funny because we've seen goaltenders paid a lot win and make the cup final, and we've seen goaltenders not get paid a lot and win and flame out of the NHL. So to me, it's like a kind of a relative conversation, you know? Does Stuart Skinner make the cup final if he's not on the same team as McDavid and Draisaitl? I don't know. Does Bobrovsky make it without some of the players that they had and some of those grittier players in front of him? I don't know. So, and listen, I don't think Lundqvist's best team in front of him was 13-14 by skill, talent, or anything else. I think it was the situation they had that year. So, yeah, overall, um, it ties a bow on that conversation, and I feel like it was so trite that you and I talked about that we beat it to a pulp.